my suggestion is, if you don't already do that, make sure whether you're starting a new partnership, you have an existing partnership, you have a best friends forever partnership, have those KPIs, have those goals written down for your team, for their team. They don't necessarily have to be the same, but make sure that everybody knows what they're marching towards.
Hey everyone, Chip Rogers. We are here back again for another episode of Inside Partnering, and we're here actually at Asana headquarters at the Partnership Leaders Catalyst Summit in San Francisco. And I'm really excited to be joined by Jordan Spiers. Jordan, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Exciting to be here. A lot of great people here.
Yeah, it's just starting to get together, and people are starting to come together, and I think they're going to be about 200 people here today.
Awesome.
It's terrific, yeah. Good. So Jordan Spiers is the Vice President of Strategic Alliances for CloudAware, running all the partner organization. Right. And you've had a long history in partnerships with IBM and, oh my gosh, Vonage, that's right, Vonage. New Relic, of course, yeah. And I think we were talking a little bit beforehand, you started actually in partner marketing, in your formal role, but then really moved into partnering. So that's an interesting part of your journey. I'd like to hear about that. Why don't we start first, though, with CloudAware and what you guys you and your team are up to at CloudAware.
Great, yeah. No, thanks again for having us here. Yeah, so CloudAware is a enterprise cloud management platform. We typically have customers that are spending $50, $100 million plus on their cloud infrastructure, have some sort of multi-cloud complex infrastructure that we're able to provide that single pane of glass for CCOE teams, cloud management teams, and we work very closely with quite a few different partnerships, whether they're the hyperscalers, with different ISVs, with SIs, being able to manage, being able to optimize, and being able to, whether it's migrate or modernize those architectures for those teams right there. And so I oversee all of those partnerships with our team and looking for more growth opportunities across the board. Yeah.
So you've got a lot of, with the technology partners, where do they fit? What kinds of technologies are plugging in that you're then going to market together with?
Yeah, so there's a lot of capabilities that CloudAware is able to do that we're able to do within our platform, but there are a lot of capabilities that we either don't want to do or we know other partners do it way better than us. And so we work with a lot of different partners, whether they're in security, observability, governance, or even some of the native services, working with some of the hyperscalers that we partner with in order to create these joint solutions, co-build these solutions that then we can deploy and that can really drive value for our customers. So that's typically how we work with a lot of these other tech partnerships. We have partnerships with CrowdStrike, we have partnerships with New Relic, with plenty of other security teams, PagerDuty, Salesforce, ServiceNow, and like I said, the hyperscalers as well.
So where did those come from? What was the sort of generation of those? Did it come from just looking at your customer base, install base, or customer requests, or from the product teams, or trying to go after new markets, or?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Fast forwarding a couple years ago, before I started at this role, the partnership strategy with CloudAware was very reactive. We had a customer that needed a particular use case or needed an integration or needed some sort of API into Azure, let's say, and they just went out and contacted them and built it, right? Or created that partnership with the ISV and just did it. Where my team comes in is being a little bit more proactive of let's understand where are those use cases that we can really drive growth, right? What are some of the low-hanging fruits that we can really go after, and what are some of those long bets that we can really see of creating those the joint value propositions, the joint technologies that we can go out and really create a differentiated product.
That's great, I love that.
And so that's really where my team comes in, is that we think of that proactive approach, right? But we look at our customer data, we see what are they using now, what are the needs now, but also as we're trying to grow our use cases and trying to optimize the customer's infrastructure, we really want to think the long term. Where do we see that arc going, that we can really develop those future-proof partnerships for our customers.
So that's really interesting. So in that case then, when you're coming up with these ideas, the strategic approaches to bring new technology partners into the fold, that's a strategic question. That's a question for CloudAware overall. So I assume, tell me, but you've got to be working with the product teams and understanding what their roadmap is, and how does that whole relationship, talk a little bit about that relationship and how that works.
That's a good question, and I think it's important as you're developing out these joint solutions. I think one of the reasons I love working in partnerships, also can keep me up at night, but is sometimes all the different stakeholders you have to deal with on not only your team, but also the partners team as well. And then you have the customers team as well. And so being able to really map those out. What is their role? What are their goals? Because a lot of times their goals aren't going to map to my team's goals or our counterparts' goals. And being able to have that kind of relationship of having that mapped out right there. So there's just some holistic thinking around partnerships in general.
That's critical, though, and you're exactly right. There are so many people, not just within the company, but the partner teams as well.
Totally, and that we're all working towards these goals collectively, because I've made that mistake many times over, and it doesn't work, put it that way. Yeah.
So talk about, because this is a relatively new initiative, without, you don't need to name names, but any sort of success stories or things that have really panned out like you wanted, that you're nurturing and taking to market?
Yeah, we have plenty of success stories. I think it's been really exciting getting in front of many different teams. I'll call out AWS, I think, as one particular partner of ours that has been great with getting some of their services teams to understand the value of where our company comes in, how we can be working with some of their native services. And it's not necessarily just about driving AWS consumption or migrating new customers over. Yeah, sure, we have those kind of use cases we can bring in, but it's really those specific technical use cases that we work specifically with their services teams, with their solution architects teams, where we can develop these joint, where we can identify customers, build out these POCs, and then they take them out to market.
And you're bringing those use cases with AWS?
AWS, yeah. And sometimes we bring in other ISVs as well, or third-party or SIs, consulting teams as well. Create those tri-party solutions.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, those are great.
Talk about how you're working with, because you're working with the three big cloud providers, plus others as well, Alibaba, Oracle, I think you've mentioned. And how do those relationships work? Because you're both providing technology for your joint customers, but also it has to work really well with each of the cloud providers.
Yeah, and I really think that's it's a good point, and I'm waiting for the day when all of a sudden I'm going to create some sort of internal civil war amongst all these partners, but it hasn't happened yet. We've created our swim lanes. We know who went to work with different ones. It comes down to what the customer wants, right? The customer is usually very particular. We're on AWS, on Azure, GCP, whoever, or they have their multi-cloud infrastructure that they want. We play Switzerland in that, right? We're not telling them, oh, you need to migrate to this or migrate to that. We develop the solutions, and we'll bring in other partners to develop, to solve some of their pain points, working with these partners, therefore. So that's how we work with them. Everyone's been very open, very helpful, and it's been an interesting experience getting to work with all of them. Yeah.
I think that's a good way to think about it and to cut the politics out of it, right? It's about what the customer wants.
Exactly. Yeah, it really comes down to that. I'm not going to say from time to time, they may ask us for suggestions or some consulting services that we may be able to provide on one particular use case or solution. But when it comes down to their cloud infrastructure, we're there to manage it across the board for them and to give them that single pane of glass.
Let's talk a little bit about goals. I know partnerships, the goal is always revenue. How do you think about that, if it's sourced, influenced, but then also some of the other related measurements and activities that you're looking at to make sure you're successful?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could slice that. And I don't think there's really one way that is right. There's probably many ways that are wrong. The way I have always, in my mind, I think when it comes to partnerships, co-build, co-market, co-sell, I think are very three distinctive buckets that a team can be very good at in those areas. Obviously, people can be good at multiple of those, but having that technical product team that can co-build a solution, you have your marketing team, your partner marketing teams that can create the messaging, create the content, and take it out to market, and then you'll have the partner sales teams. I think are kind of ways that I like to think about organizing a team and those resources needed. Obviously, then you can break it down by types of partners, channel, alliances, all of that kind of stuff, but I think that co-build, co-market, co-sell is the first way I like to slice and dice roles within a team.
Yeah. And are you looking for goals within each of those areas?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, sure. You can certainly create, there's the overarching KPIs, right, which you've talked about, right? Sourced, influenced, all that kind of stuff. We could talk about just overarching brand recognition within a hyperscaler ecosystem or a large ISV ecosystem or so forth. But within those, you can obviously develop individual KPIs, whether those are in the co-build set, joint solutions developed, adapted solutions by customers, market, you can all the marketing KPIs and sales KPIs, you can tie to those as well. But overall, you should all be going towards those holistic goals. What's the number in the end? Yeah.
Well, that's great. Jordan, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you taking some time and sharing what's happening with CloudAware and bringing some of your long history in partnerships to your current role and sharing them with us.
Great. Thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Likewise. Terrific.
Yeah. All right.
And thank you all again for joining, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.